Prologue, the weight of iron. The night smelled of rust and fire. Renard stood at the crossroads of a forgotten battlefield, where the armor of the fallen had fused with the earth itself. The remnants of an old war lay beneath his boots, swords half buried in ash, broken shields glinting beneath the pale glow of twin moons. He inhaled deeply, tasting iron in the air, feeling the pulse of metal buried deep within the veins of the world. Metal had memory. It remembered the hands that wielded it, the voices that commanded it, the blood it had spilled. A whisper drifted through the cold wind. The black mire called. Something was stirring within its drowned ruins, something that did not belong to this world. And where gods and kings faltered, metal would remain, shattered, reforged, twisted into new shapes by those who dared to claim it. Renard, the Wedroni Mage, cracked his knuckles. The world was shifting, and he was ready to shape it in turn. Chapter 1, The Broken Blades of Valmoran's Maw. The knights came at dawn, their golden armor gleaming beneath the storm-heavy sky. The gilded Templars, zealots of the old order, remnants of an empire that had long since turned to dust. Renard met them in the heart of Valmoran's Maw, a canyon where sound twisted and air felt heavy, thick with the weight of centuries-old echoes. They demanded surrender, but he did not need to answer. The metal spoke for him. With a flick of his wrist, their swords bent at the hilt, their own weapons turning against them. Helmets tightened like vices, breastplates caved inward, ribs snapping like brittle wood. They screamed, but no god answered. When it was over, only silence remained. Renard exhaled, rust spreading from his breath like a disease. The Templars had been fools. But fools often came in legions. The mire was still waiting. And so he walked. Chapter 2, Whispers in the Black Mire. The swamp pulsed with something unnatural. Renard's boots sank into the soft, treacherous ground, black water sloshing around his ankles. The trees here bent as if bowing, their bark etched with sigils he did not recognize. The very air hummed with power, a low vibration that made the metal in his veins shudder. Then he saw her. Lysandra Voss, standing amidst the drowned ruins of Ilmaris, her golden mask discarded, her face no longer wholly human. The obsidian quartz remnants had become one with her, and the mire itself seemed to breathe in time with her slow, measured movements. "You're late," she said. Renard did not answer. He could feel it, the weight of something immense pressing against reality, a shift in the world's fabric. Lysandra had stolen the cycle itself, and the consequences would be written in blood and ruin. But power like hers had a price. And he had come to see who would pay it. Chapter 3, The Black Anvil. The forge had no fire. Deep within the mire, beneath the ruins of forgotten kings, Renard found the Black Anvil, a place where metal did not melt but obeyed. Here, in this ancient cavern, the walls pulsed with veins of living iron, and blades whispered secrets to one another in the dark. Renard placed his hands upon the anvil, feeling its hunger, its longing. This was no ordinary forge. It had been built for something beyond war, beyond men. It was a wound in the world, a place where steel could be reshaped not by heat, but by will alone. He had no need for weapons. He was the weapon. But the world was changing. And even a sorcerer of metal needed an edge. Chapter 4, The Blood of the Forgotten. The first attack came at dusk. From the marshlands, the Hollowborn emerged, half flesh, half metal, their bodies twisted by whatever dark alchemy had seeped into the mire's heart. Their rusted armor groaned with each movement, their fingers sharpened into jagged, metallic claws. Renard barely moved. He willed the armor upon their bodies to twist, and it obeyed, plates folding inward, crushing flesh, turning ribs to daggers. The Hollowborn held as their own steel betrayed them. But something else was watching. Something that did not bleed. Something that did not fear. Chapter 5, The Song of Chains. Chains slithered across the ruins like living things. Renard stepped forward, and they rose to meet him, a shifting mass of iron, ancient and knowing, woven together with forgotten prayers. This was not natural. This was forged will, a remnant of something older than gods. The voice that spoke was not Lysandra's. You shape metal. But do you understand it? Renard clenched his fists. The chains trembled. I understand enough. The unseen voice chuckled. The chains lunged. Chapter 6, The Unmaking of Malachi. The demon had worn iron like flesh. Malachi, the drowned lord, towered above Renard, his body fused with ancient armor, his voice a grinding avalanche of rust. He had ruled the deep places of the mire, binding souls in metal, feeding on their pain. Renard did not hesitate. He reached out, and willed Malachi's body to collapse upon itself. The demon shrieked as his form folded inward, metal snapping like brittle bone, his own power turned against him. The chains that had once bound others now wrapped around him, sealing him beneath the mire's depths. Renard dusted off his hands. The war was coming, but at least one piece had been removed from the board. For now. Chapter 7, The Ghosts of Ilmaris. Lysandra stood upon the ruins, watching as the first black rain began to fall. You're still here, she murmured. Renard shrugged. For now. The storm was coming. Gods would fall. Fate would fracture. And metal would remain. Chapter 8, The Last Reforging. The black anvil glowed with eerie light as Renard raised his hands. The world was changing. The cycle was broken. And soon, even the strongest steel would be tested. The Wedroni Mad closed his eyes, feeling the shape of things to come. And he began to forge the weapon that would end it all. Epilogue, The Last Echo of Iron. The storm had passed, but the world had not healed. Renard stood upon the last remnants of the black anvil, its once mighty form now fractured, broken by the weight of what had been forged here. The air was thick with the scent of scorched metal and the echoes of distant screams, memories of battles fought, of chains shattered, of gods defied. He had shaped the metal. He had bent it to his will. But even iron had limits. Beneath him, the waters of the black mire rippled, no longer whispering, no longer singing. Something had changed in its depths, something ancient had stirred and then vanished. Lysandra Voss had taken the cycle itself into her hands, and in doing so, had rewritten the laws of existence. But metal remembered. Renard ran his fingers across the hilt of the blade he had forged, a weapon not of fire, but of raw, unyielding will. It pulsed with the echoes of every war it would ever see, with the weight of every future battle. He did not know if he would wield it, or if the world would one day rise against him and claim it for itself. Perhaps that was the nature of all things. He turned toward the horizon, where the ruins of Ilmaris now lay silent beneath an eternal twilight. His path stretched before him, uncertain and long. The gods had been cast down, the empires had crumbled, but the world was still shifting. And where it bent, he would shape it. Not as a hero. Not as a villain. But as a man who understood one simple truth. Metal endures. And so, as the first black raindrops fell from the sky, Renard walked on.